Big Talk is a member of Odd Pods Media and the ASAP Network.
TGIF, and welcome into another edition of Big Talk, college sports with Midwest perspective, blue collar and blue blood. I'm Dalton Shetler. That's Sam Sprunger. Sam, it's a TGIF to you, man. We're getting ready for the weekend.
Friday.
That actually might have been worse than that one Friday song that was popular. The It's Friday.
Oh, don't. It's too early.
I'm saying
for that.
you might have been even worse than that one, man.
That's
Come
perfectly okay, but oh gosh, don't bring back trauma. Jeez. Whenever I think TGI Friday, I think of back when I was growing up. They ABC had the TGIF lineup with like Family Matters and dinosaurs, and I think you're not quite old enough to remember TGIF on ABC, but it was a thing. Like, I think Perfect Strangers was in it. If you don't know any of these, and I know you don't, it wouldn't be a bad idea to catch up a little bit. I mean, I know you're busy, but geez, come on.
Well, I got to tell you, so back when Sam used to know me as a kid and he coached me, I looked much skinnier than I do currently, and that might explain why when I hear TGIF, I think, oh yeah, Friday's the restaurant, like with the great sauce, and yeah. No, but we got a great show lined up for you here on this Friday. We're going to be joined by Moe Ager here in a little bit, and of course,
returning to us.
Yeah, we're getting him on yet again. He was a Michigan State basketball player, went to the 2005 Final Four under Tom Izzo. We got a few things we'll talk about with him, really kind of taking a look at today's climate and how maybe a student athlete who went through and kind of laid the foundation of what things are today, maybe for better or for worse, kind of views things in today's reality. So we'll be talking about that. But we got to start off, Sam, because some big news erupted yesterday from the transfer portal. The number one transfer portal recruit, there has not been somebody in the transfer portal as highly accoladed as this young man, Hunter Dickinson, leaves Michigan, makes it official, and he heads to Rock Chalk Jayhawk KU. He's finding himself at Kansas, the newest Jayhawk. What do you think of this move?
First off, I'm surprised that he chose Kansas. Not that it because it's Kansas. I know he'd visited and everything, but it just seemed to me that he was going to maybe head to the East Coast and stick
back
around
home,
closer to home. So it's a surprise in that. I honestly thought he was going to stick around in the Big Ten too. I thought you were going to be right. I thought he was going to Maryland because they have a lot of pieces already kind of there. They're going to be a good team without him next year. Mm-hmm. So adding him, but maybe he just, of course he did talk about their fans being thugs. I think it was a year or so ago. So, I mean, he did burn a little bit of the bridges, but I think if he'd have chosen Maryland would have been like, yay, we've got the best recruit in the portal. But the one thing that confuses me is he's such highly touted. Why didn't he just go to the NBA? I mean, there wasn't even a flirting with the NBA draft. It was, I'm going to the portal. That's where I'm headed.
Interesting. And I would have expected somebody like him to test those NBA draft waters as well. Right. Like that's not a bad idea, even if maybe they say that like he's a little too slow still laterally for the next step, but just to go test those waters. No, I'm with you, especially in today's day and age.
And with a big man who can shoot like he can, he's not the Zach Edey to where he's a one-dimensional. Right. He's got to play in the post. He can shoot the jumper and the three. That it just, to me, it would, and I don't know what the rulings are. I know you've got to be in the portal by May 1st, but you don't have to decide whether you're going to stay in the draft until the end of the month.
Correct.
So I think you would have had plenty of time to be able to go into the portal, stay there. You know, I'm not coming back to Michigan no matter what, but I'm going to test it out and see if the NBA might be the place he's going. But I don't know. It's a little confusing unless he really wants to get the national title and he knew that he wasn't getting it at Michigan and Kansas gave him the best choice or chance. I don't know, because the Big Ten, and we even talked about it a little bit, even if he were to pick Maryland, we don't think Maryland would have been the Big Ten pick. You know what I mean? They would have still been at least number 3.
Yep.
So I don't know. Good for him. I'm glad he found a school that he thinks he's going to fit in for, one more year before he moves on to bigger, and I don't know if they're better, but bigger things after that. But maybe the money was more apparent, when it comes to the last year of college, that maybe he's going to make more money in Lawrence. And so good for him. Got him out of the conference. Doesn't hurt my feelings.
and I do think it's interesting. And somebody had pointed this out on Twitter, and I can't remember who it was because I like to give them credit, but they made the point that Hunter Dickinson landing at Kansas, if you look at this from a X and O standpoint, Bill Self consistently year after year runs through a big man. He loves to make sure a big man is a focal point of the offense, even at times where it's detrimental and the big man is struggling a little bit. So I think from an X and O standpoint, Dickinson sees, hey, I'm going to get touches here. I have a chance to not just maybe win a Big 12 conference championship, but I have a chance to really make a deep run in postseason play because that Kansas team, what else they've added around him, is pretty stellar as well. Their question mark is going to be the outside shooting. And
he helps that.
Yeah, a little bit. Like you can space the floor with him. You're absolutely right.
And the kicker is honestly, he steps in it, and this is the first transfer since the transfer portal became so huge and a huge thing. He's the first one that I can think of anyways that is transferring to probably be one of the top players on the team. He's not a supplemental piece necessarily.
I would say
Love from North Carolina to Michigan, maybe.
And are we just talking this year's cycle? Because last year Terrence Shannon was that.
Oh yeah. I forgot about him. But I mean, honestly, to me, I still think that Hunter Dickinson to me is a bigger name than Terrence Shannon. But that
well, no player that's been in the portal to this point besides Hunter Dickinson has had All-America honors in some regard. Like Dickinson is absolutely the biggest name by accolade that has ever been in this transfer portal.
And he steps in. He's the guy. Like I would say he's Kansas's guy now. I mean, no matter what Kansas brings in, he's a proven entity. He's a commodity that we know what Kansas has got. And to me, that is the first actual, I mean, granted, he's the first All-American, but like, to me, that's the first one that I've recognized so openly and know, hey, he's like, like that's like a free agency move that you're like, oh my gosh, he made that move,
And you think too now from the Big Ten perspective, and I know we're going to wrap up the first quarter here in just a minute, but from the Big Ten perspective, we were a couple years ago talking about the big men in the Big Ten when you had Luka Garza, Kofi Coburn, you had Zach Edey, you had Travion Williams. I mean, the list was going on and on and on. Hunter Dickinson was a part of that. Yeah. Now you're starting to see some of the bigs filter out. Trace Jackson Davis is gone. Dickinson gone. Like the Big Ten was known for its elite big man play just in the last couple of years. And now somebody's going to have to start stepping into these spaces because there's a vacuum.
Yeah. It's a cycle. It's cyclical. I mean, I think maybe we don't ever have big men making a big trend again, but like these guys, you were just talking, it was a couple years ago. I mean, and now they're gone. I mean, other than maybe Zach Edey coming back.
Well, and I think it works well with the idea of how physical the Big Ten is. Yeah. And I mean, it kind of is able to play hand in hand in that regard. But we talk time and time again that when you're asking yourself frustrated, why hasn't the Big Ten won a national championship in the last 23 years since Michigan State did it in 2000? And you're asking why there's these early exits. A lot of people are pointing at style of play and the use of big men and that it doesn't translate to a tournament like the NCAA tournament. Maybe it's time, and maybe we're in the middle of a Big Ten transition change a little bit. Not the Big Ten's never going to fully upheave what they do, but maybe there's a stylistic adaptation that's happening in the Big Ten.
Even if Zach Edey doesn't come back to Purdue, they've still got a 7+ footer coming in next year.
Correct.
So I mean, but
he's a bit more athletic. He's not laboring.
He's more versatile.
Yeah.
He's thinner, but he's more versatile when it comes to style of play. So you very well could be right, and it's a big. I honestly, overall, I'm pretty shocked at where Dickinson ended up. That to wrap it back to bring it back to the original topic, I'm kind of shocked. But the rich get richer. Kansas is always recruiting 5 stars, or at least very highly rated 4 stars. And so it's one of those that I think they just filled the coffers a little bit more, and Bill Self is got another chance at a honestly that I haven't even evaluated any sort of rosters, but I would say that puts them in the top 5 of contenders for the title next year.
I would agree.
He's that good of a player that it would absolutely, if they weren't already, they're absolutely there now.
Yep. No, I completely agree. Well, let's take a break and move on to the second quarter.
Quick one, just a tweet.
Just like that, it's already over.
Just like that.
All right, we move into the second quarter. We're now being joined by our good friend Moe Ager. Moe Ager, a Final Four member of the 2005 Michigan State basketball team, played in East Lansing from 03 to 06, and he's the 15th all-time leading scorer in Michigan State basketball history. Let that sink in for just a moment. Moe, how we doing, big man?
What's good? What's happening, man? Yeah, that was a quick break, man.
Yeah. Things will change in the future, but right now, that's our break. Is just a tweet.
Does that whistle is it kind of bring back the days of playing college basketball, and you just you instantly see Izzo over your shoulder when you hear that sound?
Yeah, I still see him.
Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night just going, "Oh, I'm sorry, coach," because you've just totally had a real dream that he was looking over your shoulder saying, "Mo, you're not supposed to be doing that."
Exactly.
Well, we want to talk with Mo about a few things, and we love having Mo on. Mo, we just were talking about the transfer portal and a big move that was made from Hunter Dickinson going from Ann Arbor now to Kansas. Wanted to ask you, because we mentioned your years. You played from 2003 to 2006. It seems like players that played just 5 years ago were a part of a different world than what we currently are. To think back to 03 to 06, how do you see everything that's evolving with transfer portal and everything else? How do you kind of take this?
I'm a firm believer in things just changing. It's just forever evolving, no matter what it is, sports, music, religion, whatever it is, it's always going to evolve and, take different turns. But as far as, how I see it, I feel like it has its pros and cons, in all of it, especially with, the NIL deals. And, the transfer portal, I believe it's a bonus, and, and it can hurt because, it kind of, it puts, coaches and players in certain circumstances in terms of loyalty. And then it hurts in terms of, a kid not being able to stick it out. But once again, everybody's in a rush to get to the NBA. Everybody's in a rush to, get the money, get the bag and stuff like that. So that sped everything up. But nonetheless, man, we're living in times where everything is sped up. So I'm not surprised by none of it. I think it's beneficial for players who are just genuinely unhappy at their school, and where, they can actually go and transfer right away, play. They don't have to sit out, waste a year of their life. You know what I'm saying? They can actually get right to it and continue on and not lose momentum. So it has its pros and its cons, but when we play, it was just it's night and day, bro. It's almost like college has turned into the pros, and it's a lot more flexible, and I'm happy for a lot of the changes. I've always been a firm believer in, guys having the freedom to move about and do certain things, but it's a new day, man. It's changing by the minute.
I was going to say, I can remember back when I was growing up. I hate saying that. But, if somebody wanted to transfer, they had to sit out a year. And, in the Big Ten, it used to be like when Luke Recker transferred from IU to Iowa, he had to sit out and he couldn't get a scholarship. Like they couldn't offer him a scholarship. He had to be a walk-on technically. And so now it's like almost like I was saying, it's a free agency now. It's which school can give you the best option to win a national title, and oh hey, by the way, which ones can give you the most money too.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely, it's always been a business though. It's just not at the players. They have business options as well. You know what I'm saying? Like we already know, like basketball players, football players, anybody that's making money for school, it's a business, So now, the players, they can make their moves as well. So you can't be mad at it because for so many years, colleges, NCAA has made, y'all know the spill. Y'all know what it is. So
yeah, the Ed O'Bannon. And that's the kicker is I totally don't hate it, but the NCAA dropped the ball in trying to keep it aligned, and to where there were, it's not just the wild, wild west of, well, that coach made me mad, I'm leaving tomorrow, and next week I'm going to be playing for a different team, I guess my big gripe was we've got all this stuff going on, but the NCAA is complaining that we just don't know how to handle it. Well, you knew it was coming. Do something about it when you knew it was coming. And I know I've beat this drum, Dalton, multiple times, but I've got another audience that I need to send this to, and Moe. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't hate that the players are able, because the NCAA made billions upon billions of dollars on these guys and these athletes, and so they should get their equal share.
To support your point, you're not wrong. It's just that this is now turned into, as Moe said, kind of a pro system, but there's no regulation like a pro system. Correct. And so you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. And like, this is not quite working, kind of splitting the hairs like this. But Moe talked about like sticking it out at a school. And I mean, as Moe had a great nuance answer, which I think helps because everything is one side or the other today. But he said, it can help, it can hurt, but there is a value to sticking it out. And I wanted to look at Moe's career. If freshman year, he averaged 6.7 points per game. Sophomore year, 8.5 points per game. Junior year, 14.1 points per game. Senior year, 19.3 points per game. To go from 6.7 to 19.3, that's a result of that process you're talking about. Yeah. Can you walk us through the value that actually has?
Oh, man, it's tremendous because, for one, this is around the time where, college basketball was our option. It was our only option. It was our only option at one point in time. So it was
hey to whoever's there.
It was our only option. So it's like, I had goals. I had goals of leaving early. I definitely had goals. I wanted to leave, my sophomore year. That was still the thing, to leave school early. But nonetheless, bro, I had to get used to the grind. I had to get used to getting my body strong enough. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know. I was injured my first 2 years. So I had to deal with that, So coming back from a stress fracture my freshman year, my very first game was against Kentucky. I did my thing. We won that game on the road in Rupp. But the process itself is definitely one of those things where it's a personal thing. I really enjoy college. I really enjoy playing at Michigan State. I love the guys. I love my teammates. My goal was always to make it to the NBA, but my goal was to be ready. My goal was to actually, have a great college career. And ultimately, Izzo, he made it a point that, he wanted my mom to see me walk that stage. So, the process in general, it grows you, ultimately, because I don't know. I really don't understand the college culture at this present time. But when I was there, man, you developed yourself as a man, what I'm saying, going into the real world. So as far as the basketball stuff is like, obviously you're going to get better when you spend more time at it, and you're actually, focus on, just building your craft and continuously getting better. So I just took advantage of the time, man. I lived in the gym. I made sure I was always watching film with the guys. I worked really hard, and this was around the time when people still cared about the process. People still cared about, building yourself up from foundation. Nowadays, we just live in a instant gratification. I would say instant gratification type of culture, So
Well, for sure.
I still, live by that, when it comes to certain things in life, when it comes to business, entrepreneurship, instant gratification versus delayed gratification, it's two big things, and I'm all about longevity, being able to have something to build on. So like, I feel like my legacy at Michigan State, it lives on, some of the things I've done there, it's been a great example for people, but we live in a new day where, kids want it now, everybody want it now. And obviously, the world is giving it to them now. So the adjustments we have to make.
Let me follow up here.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Sam.
No, you're fine.
I'll follow up and then Sam jump in. But I want to ask too, because you talk about the process and that it's hard. I mean, when you put in that kind of work time and time again, like it gets frustrating. You can get down on yourself. It's challenging. It's full of adversity. But usually on the other side of that is a reward and a fulfillment feeling that is kind of unrivaled. Like you can't really get that unless you go through that work. Can you take us to throughout your career where maybe the most frustrating, challenging times were where you're like, man, I don't know if I'm, what am I doing? Is this all for nothing? So on and so forth. And then when it kind of broke through and you felt that.
It would definitely be my sophomore year. My sophomore year was frustrating, man. I had a fractured ankle. I had a two double sports hernia. I played on that the whole entire year. And I didn't know we didn't know I had a hernia until after the season. You know what I'm saying? I went and got an MRI and everything. So I played on that. And it was very frustrating, this around the time, Shannon first came in as a freshman, and it was word, word got back to me from a very reliable source at that time. I've never spoken about this, but Coach Izzo, they brought Shannon to play over me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm knowing this stuff in the back of my head. I had to kind of, internalize that, not necessarily take it out on Shannon, but it actually pushed me in certain directions. But that actually frustrated me when I got that, when that information got back to me. And, I made sure it was real, but, it was one of those things where I was like, okay, if I don't get my, get it together, it's a business. Once again, Izzo and everybody else, they're going to do what they got to do, and bring other players in. But it was really frustrating, man. At one point in time, I was ready to transfer to Syracuse. My guy, Coach Robert Murphy, he was coaching over at Syracuse with Jim Boeheim at the time. He was my high school coach. And it got to a point in time where I was like, this was actually during the year. I thought about like literally transferring. And I want to say, I forgot what coach was it. Monty? The word get around fast. I mean, people find out stuff. So, I didn't take it too serious, but it was definitely a thought, just because I wasn't playing as much as I wanted to. I felt like I should have been playing more, but ultimately, man, I was still kind of dealing with injury, so it slowed me down a lot my sophomore year. But junior year,
why did you decide not to?
I didn't want to sit out.
Okay.
So if it had been presented the way it is today, like if that system you'd have probably been gone. You wouldn't have been a Spartan all 4 years.
I think so. I would have went over there with my guy. I like the way Jim Boeheim, and I love the way they play. I think we played them maybe twice. I think the second game, I had 19 against those guys. So Jim Boeheim actually liked, so he liked the way I played. He saw the potential in me. But ultimately, man, I had to learn the system at Michigan State, man. It's a system. I had to earn my dues. And then eventually, Coach Izzo just let me play my game. He allowed me to go one-on-one. I feel like I'm one of the first players that I can think of that he allowed to go 1-4 flat towards the end of the shot clocks and let me just go, do my thing one-on-one. So it took time for me to actually earn that respect from him. And, once he trusted me in those situations, I was always the one that was, pretty much taking those in the shot clock type plays, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Call it that.
So that's one of those that, like if you spoke about trusting the process and working through adversity, Coach Izzo, you're right. He's in it to win it, but maybe that was what his drive was too, is look, we'll have somebody if Moe doesn't, overcome and do this, but if he does, look what we've got. And so like it was a double prong for him, that if at worst case scenario we've got somebody over Moe, but if it works the way we're hoping, Moe's gonna bust it and be the dude.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure at the end of the day, man, I'm not saying that they want you to succeed, but
right,
hey, it's business once again, bro, and I learned that early. Yep. So it worked out the way it worked out, and I'm glad it did for my sake. And I'm sure they're glad it did for their sake at times. So it is what it is.
It turned into one of the best dunking floor spaces that MSU's had with Shannon Brown, Moe Ager, and some others. But, I do want to ask, because you talk about the process, and maybe if today's climate was existing when you played, maybe things didn't shape out the way that it would have. And I do believe that a big part of the reason why Michigan State has stayed true to itself, and Izzo's been able to stay true to itself in this time, in this ecosystem, is because Tom Izzo's relationships with players. It seems, because, I mean, he made a stance before this last season and said, look, we made a commitment to our guys. We're going to give our guys the shot they came here to get. We're not going to go transfer portal, grab somebody, and just throw them in. That was the philosophy. That was a commitment he said. Could you speak? Because I think people find it rather confusing in the day of free agency, where everybody's just building their rosters continuously on one-year deals, that Izzo's able to still operate like this. I believe it's to relationships. Can you talk about how Izzo gets people to maybe believe and trust and buy in like this?
Well, Izzo, he's a great people person. He understands. He's really hands-on in terms of being able to, tap in on certain things. Me and him had a really good relationship at Michigan State. He had a good relationship with my mother. He kept the line of communication open. I feel like that was very important. I really don't know how it goes down to other schools, but I know Coach Izzo, he always kept the door open for you. Whenever you had a problem, no matter big, small, he was always down to listen. Me and Coach Izzo, we had our run-ins plenty times, but it was always mutual respect, because he would like, hey, let's go talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So I think the communication was everything for him. And quite frankly, man, he has integrity. It is what it is, bro. Coach Izzo has integrity, bro. And whenever he's focused on something, focused on the player, and he's pretty honest as well. So it's like he want to stay loyal to his guys. He want to give us. Although, like I told you about the Shannon Brown thing, it is what it is. Shannon Brown was the number one shooting guard coming out of college. It is what it is. So, but ultimately, he's very loyal to his people. He's loyal to his players. He's loyal to his coaches. He's loyal to the fans. He's loyal to the city. He's just loyal to the university. So I feel like people feel that about him, and it's authentic. And he's authentic, bro. So can't take that away from him. I believe that's always going to help him when it comes to dealing with certain players. Especially in this new climate. As long as he can. I don't know how many years he got left, but. Yeah, so it
seems like he could go forever, Mo. I mean, he's going into year 29 here in a minute. It seems like he could go forever.
Yeah,
he's got the same fire.
I don't know about that, but
so do you think there's been an evolution in Izzo maybe adjusting with the times? Is what you're saying?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Not because he's getting older, and ultimately the players are different now. You're not as tough as we were. You know what I'm saying? They can't handle some of the. The dog days that we did, you know what I'm saying? It's totally different, man. These kids, like you said, they'll transfer right away. You know what I'm saying? So he has to adjust because, it is what it is,
Well, if we're going to talk toughness before we take this break, and we'll get to some more
this
stuff
is a
with
longer
Mo.
break.
Yes, yeah, this isn't just a tweet here in a second. But since we're on the topic of toughness, war drill. We hear the folklore all the time, the legend about this drill that takes place at Michigan State, or did before times change and things, couldn't quite happen. War drill stories. What do you got, Mo?
Oh, I used to dog. I was a dog in that. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and toot my own horn. I was the one in that drill. Like, I used to dominate the war drill. Ask anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mo was crazy. You know what I'm saying? I got after it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, Izzo, he knew how to get me going at times. So it got real intense in there, bro. You know what I'm saying? So.
Well, and just in case we have a listener that isn't aware of what the war drill is, and Sam's one. Okay, so fill them in, Mo. What did you guys used to do?
It's rebounding drill, offensive and defensive. One of the coaches, he might stand on the top of the key or the wing. You throw the ball off. You know what I'm saying? The guys will start up in the paint. You got to go out, check your man. Often, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you leave the paint, you know what I'm saying? Box all the way out, and then go get the rebound, you know what I'm saying? You get the rebound, we go into our fast break drill, and we finish on the other end. Now, sometimes we go back and forth, but for the most part, you finish on the other end. But it was times where, like, I would get like 3 or 4 offensive rebounds in a row, you know what I'm saying? And it was ugly, and it got bad in there, you know what I'm saying? Izzo cussed a lot of people out, you know what I'm saying? But got after it, bro. It's a heart and toughness drill, bro, and it's like it's one of those drills where if it was almost like a punishment drill sometimes, bro. Like, all right, war drill. Like we was bullshit. I'm saying we were in there.
Well, I was going to say, and this is the drill too for some of the listeners that back in the older days, you used to, or Michigan State players would wear football pads. I mean, the 2000 national championship, dude.
We did it too. We did it as well. That's what I'm saying. They don't do that now. I'm sure.
It's a different day and age. All right. Let's go ahead, hit the halftime break. We'll come back, talk a little more ball with Moe.
You are listening to Big Talk, hosted on Spotify for podcasters and StreamYard.
Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith. Everybody knows at the root of any good relationship, any relationship worth anything, is the only thing that matters between two people. And I'm talking about television. That's right. That's why you should listen to Married with Television, man, which is a podcast by my friends Shannon and Jamie, I call her cat ears, about movies and TV that they have loved for decades, man. You listen at marriedwithtv.com or anywhere you get your podcasts. They are proud members of the Odd Pods Media Network, man. Married with Television.
Hey, this is Grab and Brisket Podcast. Join us every Monday where we talk about the latest trends in barbecue, interviews with world top pitmasters, celebrity cooks,
Ooh, like Wee Man from Jackass.
and musicians.
Like Rich O'Toole?
So check us out. We do beer reviews, barbecue fails.
So many fires.
Dude, a lot of people just burn their houses down for no reason.
We also talk about cocaine hippos versus Beth Gators,
Learn how to make some tailgate gravy.
altercations with Texas Rangers.
People throwing Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah, so check out grabthebrisket.com for podcast info, viral social media posts, and so much more.
All right, still have Moe Ager here with us, of course, Michigan State basketball alum we were talking about, and played in East Lansing from 03 to 06, and then went on to have a professional career. And Moe, where all did you play? You played in the NBA, but where else did you play professionally?
I played in Spain for like 6 months. That was it.
Okay. I'm always curious when somebody goes overseas and plays basketball, how communication was. Was there a language barrier for you? Was everything fine there?
It was cool. Our coach spoke English, and we had some translators on that. But no, it was cool. I was in Spain, so it was like it was solid. You know what I'm saying? A lot of players. Some of the players didn't speak English, but it was still good. It was,
Well, if we just talk about Moe with basketball in general here, I do want to ask a little bit too, because we were talking about your Michigan State days. We talked about this the last time you were on. Your dunk on J.J. Redick in the 2005 NCAA tournament.
This topic comes up a lot without you on here, Mo, because it's just that memorable.
It lives on. It's eternal. It really is. And so I imagine that has to be your favorite MSU moment. Am I making a bad assumption there, or what would run up next to it if it's not?
my favorite moment is Maui, bro. I'll say Maui for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Maui's number one.
Why is that?
Man, just the nature of the game went crazy. Like, went crazy. A lot of college scouts, Maui, warm weather, women in the crowd.
Maui in and of itself, Dalton. Come on, that just
That's true.
Says a lot there. But
Yeah, it was a legendary game, man. It was a lot of fun, bro. It was just on fire, bro. I feel like it was just couldn't miss. Couldn't miss. But the J.J. Redick dunk was monumental. Obviously, that's going to be something that people talk about for a long time. He still talks about it. It's crazy. On his show, he brings it up at times. I was just like, it's cool. But the Kentucky game was dope, man. That was a good game.
Yep.
Going to the Final Four, playing at the Final Four, bro. There's so many moments at Michigan State. You know what I'm saying?
That Duke and Kentucky is the same weekend, which is kind of unbelievable to think about.
Yeah, I know. I know we live in it. Like, more people should talk about that. Like, that's nobody's ever done that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's legendary stuff.
I was in Columbus with Michigan State for the tournament, and I asked Coach Izzo actually about how some of his teams that are maybe underperforming or something during the regular season always seem to have a tournament run in them. And he mentioned that they often talk and work on the win or don't get first because of all the tournaments and stuff like that during the season that they participate in. Was that something that was a big thing? Like, you guys were in different tournaments during the season. Was that often like, hey guys, we got to win this or we don't get first, to where it kind of, you felt that built you up for a tournament run in March?
That's a great question, bro. I would say it was getting warmer outside, man. I don't know. I feel like we played better when it got warm. Like the springtime, man. Like once the spring, for me, bro, like I'm gonna blame it on the weather, bro. Once it got warmer out, bro, it just felt like we jumped a little higher, ran a little faster. It is what it is. But nah, I feel like the pressure during the tournament, I don't know, it's just something about pressure. I feel like we did so well under pressure at times. And there were, moments where we didn't have as great season, so we didn't have as much expectations. People kind of slept on us.
Yeah.
During those periods of the year, we was always slept on. It's like, nah, but I think they all know that Michigan State is going to do well in the tournament these days. But it's just towards the end of the year, man. They say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So once we got around that, we got used to each other a little bit more, bought in, and we was able to capitalize off our. One thing I'll give credit, Michigan State, man, Izzo, man, he did a good job of being able to, break down the season in different sections. You know what I'm saying? And like, okay, here's how we got better. And honestly, it was the reason why we played such a tough schedule in the beginning of the year. You know what I'm saying? Because it allowed us to be able to go against some of the top schools in the country, see exactly what we did wrong, and obviously make the adjustments throughout the year. And we was able to do that towards the end of the year, in tournament time.
Well, and this was another thing that I asked. Sorry, Dalton. I'm gonna. This will be quick. I asked the players right before that the playing of Gonzaga and the playing of Kentucky, while they weren't necessarily the high pedigree that they've been in past years, did that help? And that's kind of what you're getting at there, is the schedule leading into the season or into the end of the season kind of prepped you for not cowering, but being prepared for those big names coming into the tournament. Is that accurate?
Yeah, definitely. You mind if I get a selfie while we talk? It's cool.
Let's do it.
I mean, we're talking about the new world, you know what I'm saying? Like, got it, do it. Right?
I was gonna say, how about that? We're breaking the fourth wall now.
That's right. We're playing 4D chess right now. Is what we're doing.
Yeah, man. Ask me that question one more time, bro.
Do you think it's accurate to where that gauntlet of a hard preseason before the conference comes around gets you prepared for that tournament run, to where if you're seeing teams like a Gonzaga or Kentucky in the tournament, it's not as daunting or intimidating to you once you see them because you've already seen hard like that hard competition at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, that's for sure. 100%. I believe we do it is because of that, because it prepares us. It gets us aligned with the tournament, bro. It's like, jeez. I remember one year we played Kentucky, Duke, Syracuse,
wow,
Oklahoma. It was crazy. So those are all championship, NCAA. Those are some of the best teams in the whole entire world. You know what I'm saying? In terms of our scholarship, it's like, for sure, bro. I feel like we have a lot to work on. We get a chance to see ourselves, measure ourselves against some of the greatest teams in college basketball. So once we get around to the tournament time, man, we're tournament ready. So Izzo does a really good job of preparing us, just because of that, man. We prepare, bro. He did a really good job of preparing us for some of the toughest situations. Like we was talking earlier, like war drills and we used to have Hell Week. So there's a lot of things that we did that mentally prepared us. But ultimately, man, outside of the basketball stuff, bro, I mean, I feel like that really prepared us for life, man, to deal with some of these life issues, man, and really have something to look back on. You know what I'm saying? Like the preseason was Michigan State playing against some of these top teams. That was to prepare us for life, man. So it's like a lot of times when I'm going through tough times, I think about some of those Hell Weeks. I think about some of those preseason games. I think about, those 4 or 5 hour film sessions and stuff we had to get through, you know what I'm saying? So we had to push ourselves way past our own personal thresholds at times. So, in life now, man, it's very valuable. It's extremely valuable, man, that we had that, that upbringing.
Like you mentioned Hell Week, and I want to ask the worst parts of Hell Week. Take me to the things that you just despised that you heard that you were getting ready to do.
Wake up at 5:30.
That's tough in general.
Yeah,
Even now, just to get up.
You gotta wake up at like 4:30, 4:45, and you gotta be there at like 5. You know what I'm saying? So it was always me. Yeah, man, it got time. It was rough, bro. Like, so the 22s, we used to do 22s, and those were beastie. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to do 22. I wouldn't say it was. I mean, 2 down the back or something like that. 22.
That sounds right. Yeah, I think it's yeah.
Oh.
I try to forget, bro. I literally try to forget.
Thanks, Dalton. You just brought back trauma.
Brought him to a dark place.
Bro. I talked to Drew Nice like 3 or 4 weeks ago, man. He said, man, I'm still working. I'm working through some trauma, bro, from college. I'm like, practically, like my back still messing with me, man. Like, yeah, bro.
That is funny. Well, before we end up, and we got a couple more questions we can ask, but I want to make sure we get to this because we haven't done it yet. And honestly, the jack of all trades might as well change to the Moe of all trades, because Moe does music, he does basketball, he does so many different things. I see down below you got www.moeagershow.shop. You want to fill people in on that?
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Yeah, it's my new online shop, e-commerce store. You know, I've produced and published 4 books this year. Here's one of them, actually. Wow. American basketball. Damn, American basketball in Vietnam. That's one of them. I have another book out called Me, Myself, and I. How I use my imagination to make it to the NBA. That book is very, very important for the young and up-and-coming basketball players, man. You know, I'm teaching how you can use your mind, your heart, your imagination to do whatever you need to do in this world, including making it to the NBA, including playing at the highest level of basketball. And in the book, you know, I have, you know, tons of drills that you can do by yourself. It's really a DIY drill, you know, do it yourself. So it's like, you know, I'm basically going through the whole entire book, giving you drills that I used to do by myself in the park benches, wherever I can do. You know, it's so many tools in the book, man, that can really help young basketball players develop not only their mindset, but develop how to become better basketball players when they don't have a coach or when they don't have somebody to pass the ball to them. You know, when you're by yourself in your room, different things that I did along the way that helped me make it to the NBA and helped me develop as a basketball player and a mentalist. You know, so it's a spiritual book, man. But at the same time, it's really teaching kids how to really lock in, get that extra work in, and how important it is to get extra work in, and making no excuses, allowing themselves to be as creative as they possibly can on the basketball court without having any coaches. You know what I'm saying? But this is not the substitute for you know, training or working with your coaches. This is a book about accountability to help you become the greatest version of yourself as an individual basketball player. So by the time you get on the court with your teammates, you're even that much better just because you already put the extra work in. And it speaks a lot on leadership, you know, meditation, flow state. And that book's called Me, Myself, and I. And I'm actually proud of that work. And I'm actually about to go meet somebody now because they want to buy one. But MoeAgerShow.shop, man, I'm also a designer as well, man. You know, I have tons and tons and tons of original designs, you know, from shoes. I got my new shoes, you know what I'm saying? They dope. They're called Swagger Nights, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
bro, they cold. And it's based off a cartoon that I produced called Swagger Nights, you know what I'm saying? It's a comic anime type cartoon, bro. Also, I have, you know, the shoes, the shirts, the jackets, the hats, the dresses, the book bags. And on top of that, I created a new health drink called Baby Fat Water. You know, it's a daily detox cleanser, you know, so that's
doing everything.
I tell you what, wow.
Daily detox cleanser is good. You know, it's the gut health. And my slogan is cleaning the world up one belly at a time. So I have the book for that as well.
We got to start with mine.
Yeah, no kidding.
So we have the book right here. I went through some complications with my stomach. You know, I tell my story in this book, but I also give people the ingredients on how they can make the detox for themselves at home. I'm currently working on getting the actual drink on the market. You know, that's going to take some time, but I'm working on it. But meanwhile, I'm building the brand recognition. And we have the clothing line for that as well. We have the book bags. We have a program as well. We have the regimen to go along with the book. You know what I'm saying? A 6-week program to help people get themselves to their desired health, you know, help them clean them out, you know, and, you know, whatever it is you want to do, you know, we talk about it. I build a regimen, and me and my team will make sure you're, you know, doing whatever you need to do to cleanse your stomach out, man, because gut health is very important, bro. It's very important. It's slept on, and, you know, I've taken great passion in working on it because of my own personal issues as well. So, and I also have a children's book out called School Shoes. You know, it's a storybook, you know, basically.
Featuring Swaganites.
Nah, Swaganites
No.
is not Swaganites is more of an adult type.
Got you.
Yeah. But School Shoes is I got 9 stories in there, basically, you know, encouraging stories to help the young people, you know, ranging from anywhere from kindergartner and up. You know, it's actually good for the parents as well. It's really, really good for life stories and stuff like that, man. So, what else? Yeah. So I'm doing a lot, man. You know, Moe Ager Show.shop.
I was going to say, I'd like to ask you a couple follow-ups. I know you said you got a meeting. I don't want to hold you too late. You got 5 more minutes for us?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I got a couple follow-ups. One, you talked about writing the books. Is writing a skill you've always had, or did you just develop that recently?
The books was always in me, bro. I was just waiting for the right time to actually write. You know what I'm saying? Once I was actually passionate about it, I found some of the right tools that I needed to help me, you know, get move in the right direction and, you know, getting the books done. And from that point, I was able to just bang them out. So I wrote 4 this year, and that's American Basketball in Vietnam, the Baby Fat Water Story Manual, School Shoes, and Me, Myself, and I. So those books are all available on moeagershow.shop. And you like my pitch, man? How's my pitch, bro?
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I didn't even practice that. I didn't practice.
No, it's really good. It's got me interested. Well, and I do want to ask too, because you say you get on a roll, you like the writing. A lot of authors and writers have moments of self-discovery in the midst of their writing. And you talk about like your journey and some different things. What did you maybe learn about yourself through writing that maybe you wouldn't have learned or you didn't know until you sat down to write?
You know what? More than anything else, it helped me tap back into certain elements that made me special from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm actually writing my life story. It's called what's the name of my book? It's called
It's a working title.
That's a work in progress.
It said, hey man, it's called Story of a Music Hooper, the Moe Ager story.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm at the part where I'm actually moving out of my childhood, moving into high school, and there was a certain level of intensity that I operated with when I was younger. You know, so they used to call me Reese, and I was very, 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 very aggressive as a young child in terms of what I wanted in this basketball thing. You know what I'm saying? I got after it. I lived at the courts. It was a certain nobody could tell me nothing. So it was a certain type of dog mentality that I had as a young child. So after I was writing it, I'm like, ooh, I actually tapped back into that energy. And I actually put that book down for a minute, and then I started working on other stuff. But I feel like I started writing that book only for me to like really tap into that Reese energy. You know, some people might call it the Mamba mentality or Bruce Lee, flow text, whatever you might call it. But I had that energy as a child. And I feel like I got it again. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, no, it's not. You remind yourself of certain things like, I did do that. Okay, wow. Yeah, that was different. Like, okay, yeah, I made it through that. You know what I'm saying? So it just showed me the resilience that I had, bro. So I was able to kind of go back and bring that and apply that to what I'm doing now, bro. And it's been good, bro, because I've been using that energy to produce a lot of dope stuff, man. I love my cartoon series, man. It's funny. You know, it's maybe 3 or 4 minutes each episode. Each episode has a meaning to it. You know, I love what I'm doing with the clothing line, like the shoes. You know, so I got 3 different lines right now. You know, so I got Swaganites, I got Massive Kicks, and then I have School Shoes, bro. So y'all got to visit the website, bro. It's dope, man.
I'm on it right now. There's a few things that I might be purchasing for my boys. So,
we got the discount going this weekend, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put it in the chat. Hold on.
I was gonna say,
yeah, we'll plug it too. And I know we're starting to get against it a little bit. I do got 2 more questions I want to ask you, Moe, and then Sam, if you got one to jam in, but we'll be a little quicker here. Reese, why Reese?
Maurice, you know, that's
okay. Reese, gotcha. You talked about Swaganites, the shoes. You talked about the anime cartoon. What is Swaganites about? You said it's more adult based.
Yeah, Swagger Nights is about a group of highly vibrational people. You know what I'm saying? They escaped what we might call bizarre world to finally get back to their hometown called Prompton City. And Prompton City is a safe zone. It's a place where, a lot of the most intelligent, the wisest, the most, sacred individuals are living right now. But, they're always at threat because, we have these, our enemies, they're called the Barzarians. They come from bizarre world. And sometimes they try to infiltrate our city. And the Swagger Knights are it's a music group, basically. The Swagger Knights are basically like ascended masters. So whenever the people in Prompton City get in trouble, they go into meditation and then they tap in with the Swagger Knights to get information on how to actually, handle every bad situation that comes about. And the Swagger Knights, they give them information through music. You know what I'm saying? So they might tell them, like, you got to do this, you got to do that. You know what I'm saying? So one episode, you got to check it out. But it's funny. It's funny, but at the same time, it always has a meaning. You know what I'm saying? So I'm able to actually cross-promote certain things. So I actually throw baby fat water in there. I'm able to, promote the clothing line and stuff like that. It's fun, bro. I'm gonna shoot you guys the link and everything so you can check it out. But ultimately, bro, is it kind of has like a not really boondocks, but it kind of got like that type of inspiration. I'm inspired by boondocks, in terms of how I, the way I'm keeping it real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The dialogue and the culture and those sorts of elements.
Yeah, it's a narration. It's It's still like it's a comic book. You know what I'm saying? So I have the dope photos, and I'm narrating it. I have a different voice that I narrate in. And
let's hear that before you go. What's that voice?
Oh, it's like, yes, sir. Hey, welcome to Swagger Nights, guys. It's a beautiful day out here in Prompton City, guys. Yeah, our ladies were
I
out
like it.
having a great time.
This is good. Yeah, I'm sorry for turning into a human jukebox, but I couldn't pass on the opportunity. But it's tremendous. Moe Ager, again, with www.moeager. Excuse me, let me correct that. www.moeagershow.shop. And our great producer here, Sam, put down the link there for the discount code, new swag 100. Make sure you use that when you go to the shop.
Discount code, baby. No, I appreciate it, man.
Well, Mo,
we have to do some more time. I feel like I was rushing through everything, but hopefully, you guys can check out everything. Support the Spartan family. Eventually, I need to design some Spartan clothes as well at some point in time. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys having me, man. I always have a good time.
I was going to say,
it's a pleasure.
And we'll definitely have to do this again. So don't worry if you felt rushed, because we would love to bring you back on sometime. Moe Ager, Michigan State basketball alum and a good friend now of Big Talk. Thank you so much for joining us.
For sure, man.
Thanks, Mo.
For sure. Thanks.
We move now to the fourth quarter. And again, wrapping up a great edition of Big Talk. It's been great talking with Moe Ager for a long period of this show, but got to learn a lot. I think about maybe how different times kind of interact with one another. I mean, his take on today's climate, the good, the bad of it, I thought was pretty interesting to process. A lot of great Izzo stories, and got to hear a lot there about his personal journey, doing a lot of things outside of basketball. And again, a reminder, www.moeagershow.shop. You can use the discount code NEWSWAG100. Sam's got that at the bottom of the screen if you're joining us on a visual medium. But great stuff.
It's in the show notes if you're listening.
Perfect. But great stuff there from Mo. I mean, that really was.
Yeah, and what I liked was the ability to talk about sticking it out. He was really close to leaving, but then he realized, I'm going to stick around, and it turned out that he's got one of the most iconic NCAA memories. And it was because he wrote it out. He might not have had that, had he been able to transfer. And, he talked about sticking it, working through the adversity of, not being able to, basically do, he had some run-ins or he had some issues. He wanted to leave, but it wasn't like easy for him to do. So he stuck it out. And, he even said that if it had been available to him, he probably would have left.
Yeah.
And that's the bad about the portal. The good about the portal is sometimes you make a decision that a life decision that doesn't work out, and you should be able to move and change. It's just like you take a job that you really didn't do well, or didn't think it didn't come out to be what you thought it would be, and then you make a change, but your boss yells at you, well, I'm quitting.
Well, and I think too, because you're right, there is bad and good. And I think it's important to remember, and I'm a little biased in this instance, but like for Michigan State, we talk about the process and what's there on the other side, and people just need to stick it out. Well, not every place is Michigan State, and the culture is built. Some places are a little toxic, a little unfulfilled. Like, you're not going to get maybe the reward for sticking it out because the environment there is different. Like, Michigan State is a different place than that. You know what I'm saying? So that there is good and bad, and it's all different by case, by individual, by setting, so on and so forth. But I thought that was a great chat and got to learn a lot there with Moe.
Absolutely. And all the stuff that he does, I've got some,
it's crazy.
I have a couple of kids that like to do one-on-one stuff. Like, they just do their own thing with basketball. Me, myself, and I might be a purchase that those two can, look over and make themselves better basketball players.
Yeah, no, it's really cool stuff. Glad we could have Moe, and we look forward to having him again in the future. But hey, we're pushing up against it. It's about time we close shop down. So Sam,
no headlines today because Moe was fantastic and we were able to go a little bit long, but that's okay. Not every week needs to have headlines, and
that's right.
This week is, unlike last week, we both had the same one. So goodness gracious. I did get word from Tony, which, quick note, Dalton will be out next week. So Tony is sitting in next week.
Oh, great.
So, you don't have to worry about the solo, Sam. But TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. I wanted to say Twitter, but Twitter is at B1G. Yes, B1G_talk, big talk. Interact with us. Tell us what you thought about Moe. Tell us what we're doing well. You can tell us what we're doing bad, but just be nice about it. If you want to go to Facebook, go to B1G Talk. Just type it in. You'll find us. For the time being, and we'll have an announcement. oddpodsmedia.com. You find us there. We're the only sports show there for the time being right now. We're odd, so that works. And we're still only once a week. Dalton, I'm just not, I get to doing so many different things that I forget that I need to change that, because we've got a couple more months.
I can relate.
We still got a couple more months of just once a week. But you can find us on ASAP, All Sports All Plays Network. We're every Friday at 9 a.m. And then once football and basketball season rolls around, we go Wednesdays and Fridays. So twice a week on the ASAP network. So that be how you find us.
There you go. And again, it was a great addition. I'm really happy y'all were able to spend some time with us here on this Friday and get to listen to Moe's story and everything else. It was a good edition of Big Talk. So thank you all for tuning in and joining us. And for one final time, I'm Dalton Shetler. That's Sam Sprunger. Until next time, so long.
See ya.